If you were like me this morning, you woke up and your phone was buzzing. Attacks on countries, affected markets, Middle East, figuratively and literally blew up. Now, we'll show you what US-Iran tensions did to the risk premium, how the new tariff path affects us, and the key levels that decide what actions need to be taken. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strategic Markets and into our end of week session. And probably the news that literally everyone has on their mind is the US-Israel war on Iran. And Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been confirmed dead by state media. Obviously, I'm going to want a little bit more clarification, confirmation that has been done over the next couple of days. So, we'll just wait that out to the best of our extent that we can know. But yes, at least for now, that's been confirmed, and that means a lot for the regime in Iran and who takes over and the effects that's going to happen in the finance markets in the US as well. So you're definitely going to want to stay up to date over the next couple of weeks because it could be fairly volatile, positively or negatively as well. So we'll just see how we go. What that really means from a global update is, well, look, Iran actually became the first country ever to strike Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Jordan, Bahrain, Qatar in a single day and surrender the same day as well. This is honestly not a joke, guys. This actually did happen. Like when Iran was attacked, they did actually, fire off some missiles into its neighboring countries, which is really sad to see. But, Dubai, Doha, and Manama were definitely affected. You probably will be seeing reels or social media updates consistently regarding these attacks. A lot of my friends have been affected as well, so I'm wishing you guys best through these times. But we cover this information because they definitely have an impact on the market. And speaking of impact on the market, we've been tracking this through the week as well. And oil prices have been rising as this happens. And as we know, when tensions go up in things like this, and oil basically operates most of your military functions and movements across, countries and transportation, oil has actually been performing fairly well over the last I would say 6 to 12 weeks consistently on this uptrend. Now, I just basically mapped out this particular downwards trend line in the charts this morning to see, is oil going to have a confirmed breakout by the end of this particular week, or is it possibly going to have a bit of a breakdown downwards and follow its descending trend? So we'll just have to see how that particular plays out. But right now, especially in the short term, oil has definitely been showing a lot of strength. So let's see what that direction is. But there definitely was an opportunity there. Whether you want to take that opportunity moving forwards is up to you. But yeah, definitely a bit of an extended sign, maybe a breakout and a pullback, and then to review opportunity. Obviously, not financial advice. The SPX. Now, this is something we do cover fairly a bit on the channel. And today I thought I might map out some news incidents recently that have been happening and how that affected the market. First of all, we have over here is Liberation Day tariffs. Trump came out, said this was going to be the best thing for America. And then over that 5 weeks, we had like massive downwards action. And it was really stressful for a lot of people. But then we kept moving up. Then we had US bomb Iran's 3 nuclear sites to not let them have that capability. And after that, we still kept moving up. We had the Bank of Japan rate hike scare in November. We had a bit of a drawdown. Then we kept moving up. Now, very recently, we had the Supreme Court tariff ruling and Iran-US tensions possibly being over. Hopefully, what I'm hoping for, and considering we are testing this particular green 20-week moving average line over here as well, hopefully we have a move up over here. Because there's upward trends line in the green. We haven't touched this in a particular while. And if we continue onwards, then we're probably looking for a move somewhere around 7,400, or 7,500. So depending on how this move up goes, if it goes to touch this particular green line consistently. But until that particular move occurs, we just got to wait and see it out. But all these major news events have one thing in common. So hopefully the next move is upwards, but more to see on that as we go ahead. Other concerns that we have, not just relative to geopolitics through war, but we do have the US tariffs in place. And after the Supreme Court ruling, US did actually put in place an extra 10% tariffs on most countries. Now, the Trump administration is working to hike that to 15%, but for now they do stand at 10. So we're just going to have to see how that particular plays out and the way it affects the markets. But yeah, that's going to be affecting the markets over the next couple of weeks, and we just have to manage that volatility as it comes. And when we talk about volatility, we obviously love our cryptocurrency market. And honestly, I am a little bit hopeful now. Yeah, even a broken clock is right twice in a day, and I might be wrong on this one, but to be honest, what I'm seeing on the BTC charts is a basically smoothing out pattern. We are seeing these wicks consistently go down, but then get supported and bought back up, and slowly, I believe, the trend is stabilizing towards the downturn, and we might actually be having better benefits. And I'm more of the kind of guy who likes to look at the fundamental news events that possibly support this. One of the biggest news events that we had this particular week is the Jane Street lawsuit. So Jane Street, if many of you don't know, is basically a trading entity in America that actually operates 10% of the trading volume in the US. So they're fairly big, if you haven't heard of them. And they've had some instances in the past where they've used insider knowledge relevant to markets in India, and India basically kicked them out. And recently, what's happened is they have believed that in the collapse of 2022 crypto market, there was a Terra Luna ecosystem that crashed. And basically, they believe they had some insider knowledge that they acted on to basically destabilize that market and drop Terra Luna, which then ended up collapsing FTX as well, which then ended up having massive impacts. And possibly they have made profits from that. And what they're saying in this particular from that courtroom case is they actually believe that Jane Street is manipulating Bitcoin as well at 10 a.m. every single day for the last couple of weeks, basically selling off the market with their short positions consistently, and are pushing that crypto to the downturn. Now, whether that's legal or not, that's not for us to decide. But this particular lawsuit has dropped that particular action happening at 10 a.m. to a reasonable extent. So hopefully that's enough fuel needed for if the market goes risk on after Iran having a new regime and in the better benefit for the future. Maybe that looks for the positive. We just got to wait it out and see. And another positive news, hopefully coming in March, which I'm really looking forward to, is the Clarity Act, or the Crypto Market Structure Bill. Look, to be honest, the White House said that they want an agreed upon framework by the end of this week. We are here now. We'll get an update on this particular next week. But if they have that framework and if they get it pushed through the Senate and the House and it lands on Trump's desk, then we could be at a very good position for what crypto looks like from April onwards and hopefully upwards. So this is looking really good. And lastly, the particular chart that I love and then I share in this particular channel is the ETH BTC chart. As you know, I've discussed this in the past that ETH BTC had a breakout in July of last year, went upwards on this particular downwards green trending line, and then broke up from it, went down for a little bit to test support on it. Now, hopefully, I'm seeing a bit of a reversal pattern over here. Now, whether it's a strong reversal or a weak reversal and whether we make a lower high is just yet to be seen. But when this goes up, we know that risk is back on, and we just got to wait this particularly out and see how this particularly reacts. I'm very excited to see Steve's thoughts on this particular matter, whether he confirms, denies, or in similar agreements. But yeah, what an interesting day to be alive.
What a fantastic summary of everything there, Yash. Before we go on, I'd love to firstly pass on our thoughts to everyone who may be affected by everything that's going on around the world at this point in time, be it either yourself directly or someone else that you know around the world as well too. So pass on all our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully everyone is safe around with everything that's going on too. Considering the war directly itself there as well, and the fact that you brought up Brent crude before as well, let's start off there first in terms of our discussion, I reckon. So we'll start off and share the screen in relation to that. So let's have a look at that first. So in terms of Brent crude, that has been a very interesting story all the way through from basically from mid-January, as you can see. This is the Ichimoku chart we're having a look at firstly. So really from there, you can see that there was that crossover in terms of the Tenkan Sen being that blue line that you can see right there. I'll enlarge the chart so you can really see it. The blue line crossed over the baseline right there in mid-January, and ever since then, it has been going strong gangbusters all the way through. Has not stopped one bit at all, and that's gone right
Oh
up.
wow, yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And if we also go across, even in terms of the moving averages as well, you can see that that's been going all the way through, and it's well above the VWAP being that green line. So it really has just not stopped. What will it be in terms of opening up on Monday in terms of the futures? Chances are we'll probably get a jump considering the fact of the war, and there'll be a lot more demand in relation to more of oil in itself there. So chances are that will happen. Alternatively, we may even have a retracement back towards the moving averages in total contrast to everything everyone's expecting as well. So be on the lookout for how the actual futures open more than anything else. It can actually surprise you because that has happened previously as well. And based on what you actually drew before in terms of that very, very heavy resistance line as well, we can have a retracement backwards from there. So it's always a matter of how the market reacts rather than, everyone has that hypothesis, oh, it might jump 10, 20% or $20 or whatever the case might be. Always look at how the market reacts rather than just presuming that something will actually happen.
Mm.
See how it actually goes in relation to anything there. Okay. Now, your favorite, Bitcoin. Now, what's
Mm.
been going on there? This has been really, 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 really fascinating. As soon as the news broke out in relation to the war and the first strikes that actually occurred, in terms of the first strikes on Iran, this actually dropped straight back down to that prior support line from April 2021. It was fascinating. Hit it pretty much right to the cent, and then bounced off that in terms of that line at 63,500, bounced off that area pretty much immediately, and then went right back up through the 66,000 line, and it's been hovering in between the 66,000 line and this line here at 67,500 ever since. And that's it. So we are sandwiched right between those lines all the way through until it decides to go one way or the other. And that's exactly where we are at this point in time. The most interesting thing about all of this in terms of cryptocurrencies and everything around overall is fairly much what has been happening towards the end of the week, and not too sure whether many people actually realize this. Look at this chart. This is an index of the banks,
Mm.
all right? The banks overall is a big index. Now, this is the KBW index overall, which is actually symbolized by BKX, if you want to ever want to follow this.
Mm.
This is a conglomerate of 24 major banks over in the US. Okay, huge
Mm.
number of banks. It fell 4.8% on Friday during the Friday active session. Now, what it was led by, and you can actually break this down, it was led by a whole heap of the big major banks. Now, these don't fall to this extent ever. Okay, it
Mm.
really don't. You've got banks like Bank of America falling 4.7%, Morgan Stanley 6%, Goldman Sachs 7.5% in one
Wow.
day. Okay, these are huge falls to be recorded in one day, not after earnings, not after anything on those lines at all. These are just normal trading days where they fell. People are pulling money out of the banks left, right, and center at this point in time,
Mm.
and they're looking for other alternatives. Now, the mere fact that you've got banks going down like the sack of proverbial, okay, they're going down really, really badly, but you've got essentially cryptocurrencies not going too bad.
Mm.
That's an interesting observation overall when you take a look at things. So they're looking at putting it into a different kettle of fish overall when you think about things, and they're taking it out of the traditional financial institutions. Interesting observation.
Mm.
Let's just see whether or not this all holds. If this area down here at 60,000, 61,181 to be precise, looking at that blue line there,
Mm.
if that area breaks, then literally all bets are off.
Mm.
If it doesn't, though, this area here is actually not looking too bad. On top of that as well, if you take a look at some of the ETFs in relation to cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, something like IBIT, for instance, the implied volatility of those ETFs has come down dramatically.
Mm.
And we've talked about this kind of thing before in relation to silver. When that was going absolutely crazy, the implied volatility was going crazy. Now, conversely, the implied volatility ratio is actually coming down dramatically in things like IBIT.
Mm.
So when that kind of thing comes down, it may be an opportunity to take a look at various opportunities of, say, like options when it comes to these guys. Just something to think about, obviously not financial advice, but definitely something to have a bit of a think about when the options are not as expensive in terms of a longer term hold of things. Could be something along those lines there. And just for transparency's sake, I'll let you know that I actually just purchased some IBIT long-term options myself as well. So
Mm.
something in terms of a thing to actually have a look at in relation to something for the future there. So that's Bitcoin. Ethereum, okay, similar kind of circumstance here, but notice how we're actually sandwiched smack bang between this one here in terms of the support level at 1816 and the support level, which is now resistance at 2101. That
Mm.
magic 2101 is still coming up, Yash. What can I
Mm.
say? Okay,
Yeah, amen.
right? It's still stuck there. So until that breaks out, one way or the other as well, that's the situation overall. Okay. And we've still got those other altcoins which are still hanging around in the background too.
Mm.
Bitcoin Cash, if you're looking along on that one there, it's a sad, sad story. But other ones are not looking too bad. Okay, Polygon, all right. We've been talking about that one there. That's looking a little bit sad still. Solana, not looking bad though. Another
Mm.
possibility there. Uniswap, not looking bad either. So there's a few different ones that we've been talking about recently, and they come along in a reasonable way overall. The major earnings one that happened this week. Remember I was talking about that recently?
Mm-hmm.
Good old NVDA.
NVDA. Wow.
Oh, okay. Everyone was thinking, oh, this is going to go above 200. It did. It doesn't look like it on here on the chart, though, does it? But
Mm.
it did. At the end of earnings, it went up to 203. Just doesn't
Mm.
print on the actual daily chart. It went to 203, hit 203 during the after hours, and then it just went bye bye.
Wow.
Right? This is not the first time that's happened, though. It also did that again pre-split, I should say, back in August 2023.
Mm.
Did exactly the same thing. Go take a look at the charts and have a look at it. It hit $500 at that point
Mm.
prior to the split because it split 110. Okay. So it hit $500 at that point in time, 502 if memory serves me right. Hit that point there, and then straight after that for the next 2 months, went down, lost 20% of value.
Mm.
They went down to about 390, I think. So it went down, 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 down before it started recovering. Then it had its split 1 to 10 and did all that type of thing there. But just to let you know that these kind of things do happen, and these are the magnitudes of things that happen there as well too. This could have a bit more of an after effect, especially if it breaks well past that 200-day moving average.
Mm.
This could have a big impact on the rest of the markets. Why am I saying all of this? Okay, well, let's have a look at what's going on with the indices. The indices, really, really fascinating because, and you can look at all of these, all four of them doing exactly the same thing. They're all testing these long-term support levels. Dow Jones broke it, but they've got the short-term moving averages above them as well, and they're struggling. Every single one of them now, if you go to the DIA, you'll see, or every single one of these major major indices are trading below the VWAP as of Friday. Every one of them. Dow Jones, Russell, okay? Russell, you don't see it there. You see it on the IWM though, which is pretty much equivalent to the Russell. So the
Mm.
IWM, you can see below the VWAP. If we go up to the SPY, same thing, below the VWAP,
Mm.
testing the 100-day moving average of the SPY and the Qs.
possible that, before the end of the weekend that they were worried about the US-Iran tensions, and they probably did have a bit of a sell-off event just to
Absolutely.
hedge risk. But
Yep,
I'm interested to see how the market opens up, and we'll provide you an update on next week, Wednesday, to see how that particularly went.
you bet. So worried about the tensions in Iran for one, and it was also influenced by the NVDA earnings.
Hmm.
Double whammy. Okay. And on top of that as well, flight to safety with gold and silver.
Hmm.
Still going along nice and strong in relation to the movement upwards and well away from the VWAP itself as well too. They're
Hmm.
strengthened in relation to all of that and the moving averages going there. So that's gold. That's the gold ETF.
Hmm.
And you've got silver, which is now firmly above the VWAP. So
Making
you've
a
got
higher high.
extra strength
Hmm.
there. Absolutely. You've got higher highs going along there as well. And there's the silver ETF on top
Hmm.
there too. The DXY, on the other hand, still stuck in limbo land, sitting between the moving averages and still constrained by the 50-day moving average. So we've got so many dynamics in play.
Hmm.
It's incredible. It really, really is. So we've got gold and everything along those lines and silver. So the precious metals doing really, really well. Could have a bit of a pullback if it's starting to become overextended. We've got DXY sitting in la la land, having no idea where it wants to go at this point in time. We've got the cryptos trying to figure out which way they're going to go, whether they're Arthur or Martha, and still have no idea. And on top of that as well, we've got the indices still trying to figure out where they're going as well too. So as you've basically suggesting right at the beginning, the levels are important. It's a matter of really figuring out exactly where you've got your line in the sand and where you're figuring things out in terms of saying, right, okay, this is where I cut it, or this is where I can actually increase my exposure if I'm feeling as though that's the direction I wish to go.
Hmm.
Over to you, buddy.
Yeah. Look, guys, on that, I was reading up on this a little bit too. Currently, with all the geopolitical risk and the inflationary risk as well, people generally do flock to your metals, especially your more popular metals, gold, silver, and then oil as well, which is just your general resources that the world has operated on for a while. But when risk on, appetite returns, and hopefully we'll see some signal that gives us clarity on whether that starts next week or not,
Mm,
we can have more towards direction, especially crypto being the more volatile and younger asset that can show us that direction. So we'll be looking forward to that next week and we'll provide you an update. As always, if there's something that you like about this channel or if there's something that we could do better, leave us a comment. Or if you loved it, leave us a like. And if you really liked it and you want to continue on this journey, subscribe. Other than that, it was always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
absolutely. See you later.